Hello, everyone. Welcome to TSAM Digital. My name is Anna, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with three senior members of Kurtosys about data management challenges for the investment industry. So first off, I have the pleasure of introducing Lee Godfrey. He recently joined Kurtosys as CEO, and he's bringing his unique blend of expertise across the asset management, digital transformation, and client experience space, having previously held senior executive positions at Knipe and Intertrust Group. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd also like to introduce Neil Thornburn. He is the head of customer solutions and strategy. Neil has extensive knowledge of the digital strategy and transformation, with particular focus on the asset management and wealth management sector. Neil also previously served as head of EMEA Digital at JP Morgan Asset Management. Welcome, Neil.
Welcome. Thanks very much.
I also want to introduce Patrick McKenna. He is head of sales and product management. Having been with Kurtosys for 9 years, Pat has end-to-end understanding of the challenges the industry faces, and he's continuously refining the Kurtosys solutions set to address these. Welcome, Pat.
Hi, Anna.
Thank you very much for being with us today. So we wanted to address three main pain points, and I wanted to kick off with asking, what do your clients grapple with at present?
Thanks, Anna. So one of the things that we wanted to do at Kurtosys, we wanted to really show off some of our core values, and some of those are around trust, transparency, and confidence. So as a show of commitment to those and to our clients, we recently hosted our first client day, which included a really interesting sort of no holds barred voice of the client session, live polling session in the room with our clients. So one of the questions was around their key pain points and what they're trying to solve for over the next 12 to 18 months. And there were three clear emerging themes. Firstly, keeping up with the speed of industry change, so both across regulation and technology perspective. Secondly, managing their complex data sets. And lastly, meeting the needs of the investors. So this was primarily around areas such as the investors demanding real-time data and insights. So really sort of wanting things at their fingertips. So that's kind of the three themes that came out of that.
So let's unpack each of these pain points in more detail.
Regulation. I mean, you've heard everyone say that regulation is inevitable as tax and death. It's going to come, it's going to happen. The good thing about regulation usually is you have a good headway and a head warning about it. So we know within the next 2 years that there's some regulatory changes that will impact fund distribution around Europe and further afield. If we can grasp those now and attack them early on, together with clients and working groups, we'll be able to make regulation a kind of part of business, day-to-day by business, rather than anything that's disrupting and challenging. So I think it was one of the first things. And the other thing is about technology, but I'm going to leave Pat to talk about technology when he covers the data elements, I think.
Absolutely. So actually, Pat will be joining our panel at TSAM London on the 16th of June. And this panel is going to be discussing the latest trends around agile data governance practices and the powerful solutions that are possible when results and insight can be harnessed easily and dynamically. Pat, could you tell us a bit more about why this is such a relevant topic right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a fairly unique time, I would say, in my 20 years within investment management. I've never been observant of a period of such change within the data landscape. And I think the main reason for that is, I think, probably the term that everyone is tired of hearing, which is, of course, sustainability and ESG. And I think if you consider the types of data that an investment management house has had to deal with for the last 20 years or 30 years, particularly those that are reported to their clients, they are largely traditional metrics that have been well understood for the majority of the last century. Now, sustainability related data is creating a seismic shift in everything that an investment manager has to deal with, both on the investment side and on the reporting side to their clients. So the type of data management tools that they have and the practices that they employ have to change significantly because of the heterogeneity of that particular data set, how that knits into the types of reporting that are provided to clients. And of course, for us, our solutions really sit at the thin end of the wedge there, the tools that help our clients communicate to the end investor. So being able to harness all of that information in a way that is compliant and regimented is an enormous challenge for, I think, every investment manager. So we're certainly seeing, with SFDR being an initial push, but more lately the sort of the push from the end investor to want to get their hands on actual data sets directly rather than being provided, for instance, a finalized book at the end of a quarter. This information is really the lifeblood of each investment management organization, and of course then in turn their investors. I think for us, the impact has certainly been seen in terms of the medium of exchange of this data. So I think if you go back sort of 10 or 15 years, it would be fairly standard for an institutional client to be quite happy to receive all of their reporting in a print form. However, now we see a world where more and more institutions are moving towards requesting data in an API form from their managers. And so how you then create an end-to-end experience that takes the relevant sustainability content, integrates that into the investment process, and then is something that it can be tapped into by the end client. That's a lot of work for technology teams. And then, of course, that has to work with all of the other types of reporting that you're doing as well. So I think there has to be a bit of a change here in terms of the types of techniques that are used by investment managers and also the technologies. So we're seeing a lot of our clients start to adopt new technologies like Snowflake, for instance. I think one of the advantages there is how some of the data vendors have allowed their data to be used within that database without actually having to take it and integrate it through an ETL process. So it's a very exciting time, but of course one of great stress and change for lots of our clients, and we're happy to be helping them through that process and coming up with new ways of dealing with these challenges.
Absolutely. And lastly, Neil, you mentioned that investors are demanding more and more real-time data and insight as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah, I think, and Pat has alluded to the huge change in behaviours and expectations of people across the last few years, and the evolution of how humans have used technology to conduct their day-to-day lives and ultimately interact with businesses has always been accelerating, and over the last sort of 20 or so years, working with digital technology, seeing that change, and again in a similar vein, never more so than in the last few years. The technology has advanced and people's adoptions for that, agnostic of industry, has really changed. And if I'm from a pure digital perspective, I look at the asset management industry, and a lot of asset managers are actually struggling to adapt to that. So we're now in a world where demand for interactive portals to access key data or specific insights has never been higher. So in many cases, the static reports and kind of those sort of slightly more traditional ways of portraying your information are no longer the answer. Investors want that real-time access to their information, and asset managers need a really efficient way to deliver this. And I think they're looking across other industries and other ways of using data visualization and charting, and starting to understand the ways in which people absorb data is going to really help our clients and ultimately their investors get that information.
Thank you very much. And to conclude, in your opinion, what are the key trends and areas that investment managers should be focusing on?
So I think Pat and Neil have hit on most of it. Investors are becoming more sophisticated. The institutional investors, clients are becoming more sophisticated. They want the information at their fingertips. They want it now. They don't want to wait until the end of the month or even worse, at the end of the quarter. So real-time data and information is key. The way that is delivered is very important. I mentioned the regulator earlier, and the regulators are going to be looking at this as closely as they were the fixed reports. So it's about remaining agile but secure, and nimble to deliver that end client and that end investor information so they can make the right investment decisions for their future. And I think that's pretty much what we're going to face. We have been facing the last couple of years, and it's going to continue the next 2 years. People need to stay nimble. The thing that's really going to challenge our clients and their providers today is a lot of them are sitting on legacy technologies, and those legacy technologies are not designed for cloud-based access to portals, and so clients can't get the information at their fingertips very easily. People think that secure, in-house technologies are safer from cybersecurity. It's not true. So cloud-based technology is as secure, if not more secure, than a lot of the old legacy systems. So legacy systems is one real challenge. The other one is old ways of working. Our clients are used to doing things in a certain way. They've got their logbooks of how processes and procedures are followed, and to get people to change the way they behave, to make pushing out the information and the flexibility out of the extremities of the organization or the ecosphere, allowing investors to tap into reports themselves and pull their own data out of portals, rather than every month sitting down and saying, okay, what report should we send to our clients this month? That world has changed, it's behind us, and if we don't adapt to the future, then we will get left behind. And this industry is already a good few years behind all others.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that conclusion, Lee. And thank you, Neil and Patrick. Thank you, all three of you, for being with us today. It's always a pleasure to speak to you and to introduce you to our community of asset managers. And speaking of which, of course, you'll be attending TSAM London on the 16th of June. So we do look forward to seeing you there. And I'm sure everyone watching is going to be very excited to meet you in person.
Thank you, Anna. Look forward to seeing you then.
Thank you very much.